Ladies and gentlemen, you can't get earlier than it is right now. You cannot get, you cannot be here earlier than it is because look, it's 5 o'clock in the morning right now, and we are diving into a full album reaction. Bauhaus, it's been a while since we've listened to them, and we're diving into their second full length studio album, Mask. I've had this one and their next one on my wish list for a long time, and I said, yeah, right now is the time to do it. And I do mean the time to do it. Released in 1981. Many of you have suggested this particular album. We've covered their first album, and some of you that had suggested this one, Sam Stevenson, I see you, Eduardo Ferreira, AK, Stu Bob's Ghost, I think you mentioned this one as well, Silly or Simile Mum, That Girl, and the list goes on and on forward from there. So thank you guys so much for the recommendation. You may be asking yourself, JP, it's 5 a.m. in the morning. What are you doing up? Why aren't you asleep? I've already gotten up twice with Liam to feed him and take care of him in the middle of the night. And honestly, I'm awake. so I was like, I feel like listening to some music. And so this is what we're doing this morning. That's why. I was just up, so I figured why not. And then maybe after this, I might go work out a little bit. And then maybe later in the afternoon, I'll sleep. Anytime that I wake up like early, I'm always good for like most of the day. And then like near like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, then it'll start to hit me. And we'll kind of figure it out from there. But for now, we're sailing great. And no coffee. Even just sipping on some water, even though it's nearly empty, so I might have to grab a little bottle of water because I didn't want to open the fridge and make any noise in the kitchen. I just wanted to kind of sneak by. But I couldn't refill my water. Okay, but that's not what you're here for. You're not here to hear about my sleep patterns or my lack of hydration. You're here to listen to some Bauhaus. So let's go ahead and dive on in. Like I said, I've had this one on my list for a really long time, and I'm really excited to dive into it and see how they follow up from their debut in the flat field. So let me go ahead and pull up Mask here so we can go ahead and begin our album listen. It's loading, it's here. And let's go ahead and start off with the first track, Hair of the Dog. Is this a Nazareth cover? Or is this original? There's one way to find out. So find out we shall. Let's go ahead and dive into it. And ladies and gentlemen, this one's to you. It's kind of nice being up this early. Bass has a very grimy sound. Sorry. I suppose that could be construed as a dog yapping, barking, just the baying of the hounds back there. Okay, we start off with the nice, slow, heavy track with some big, heavy drums pounding away. Bum, 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 bum. Bass very nicely rounding up the bottom of that to give it that deep, grimy kind of atmosphere. And I really like the way that the bass kind of plays in the, I guess the chorus, you could say, in the way it starts to become a little bit more groovy in its sound before it's kind of lurking down underneath in the mire, and then beneath the mire, you could say. And then on top of that, when it comes to the chorus, it starts to kind of giving you a nice spooky kind of Halloween-esque groove. That's from David J on the bass, and then vocals, of course, by Peter Murphy. And I mean, besides the yap bark that happens in there, I really like his delivery and his specific flow on this track, especially with the lyrics here. Like, we'll go over them fully in a second, but I just like the keep on fighting, the keep on loving, like the way that he's singing that in between every other line. It just kind of adds this really cool kind of rhythmic delivery into the way he's singing there. And the guitar from Ash, I really like that screeching guitar that in the beginning, like, it's like, it kind of has that kind of sound to it. Almost like a pleasant feedback kind of distorted sound. And then it just kind of grows and expands, but in a really atmospheric way as the track goes on. And then you have, that moment that kind of shut me up there. It just kind of comes out of nowhere and scares me. This is a nice opening track that definitely sets a mood, sets a scene, and it's a dark scene, that's for sure. Not a cover of Nazareth, by the way. The man who was mortally wounded by war kept on fighting. The man who was cut to the quick by love kept on loving. The man who was mercilessly tortured by thoughts kept on thinking. The man who was crippled with concern kept on caring. So even despite these setbacks, these painful things that occurred to these people, they kept on pushing through. Hair of the dog that turned. And like hair of the dog, let's actually look up the exact meaning of that phrase. I've heard it many times, but I want to get it specifically. Not lyrics, not from Nazareth. Let's see. Hair of the dog is a colloquial expression for a beverage containing alcohol consumed as a hangover cure. Okay, I didn't know it was a hangover cure. I just thought of it as a drink. The remedy relies on the principle of treating a malady with a small amount of the very substance that caused it. I didn't know that part either. That's why it's good to learn. Okay, so that's why, they kept on loving. Well, even though they were hurt by love, they still keep on loving because they need a little part of that to heal themselves. I kind of get that's actually a really cool idea. The man whose eyes were sore from obscenities kept on looking. He needs to keep looking in order to heal himself, perhaps from what he had seen. The man whose heart bled, killed by compassion, kept on feeling. The man whose legs buckled under exertion kept on running. The man whose ears burned to the sound of his own name kept on listening. Like where your ears burning because someone was talking about you, but he kept on listening. Oh. I like the lyrics a lot. Knowing that about, the remedy would include a portion of whatever caused the illness or the malady, as it says. That actually makes really great sense in the track and in the lyrics there. It's a small thing, but the small things impress me. Let's move on to the next track here, which is The Passion of Lovers. Kind of a flamenco opening. It's a good drum pattern.
She saw cracked fetches. The passion of the buzzing for dashes, she licked her lips and touched her feather.
I like how he uses the kick as the root on this rhythm.
underneath, I came aware of all that she The little boxes so safe and sound, they were not dead, they got to ground. The passion of lovers is for them, let free. The passion of lovers is for them. The passion of lovers is for them, let free. The passion of lovers is for them.
That's a great chorus, strumming and then building it back up. That's a great chorus. I love that strum.
Breaks her heart just a little too much. And her jokes looks like the lucky backside.
That's a groovy rhythm too.
When she dips the whales, lifts her banshee smile. She gets a letter of the maker to the letter. Passion of lovers is for them, says she. The passion of lovers is for them. The passion of lovers is for them, says she. The passion of lovers is for them. The passion of lovers is for them, says she.
That is a great voice rising.
The passion of lovers is for them. The passion of lovers is for them, says she. The passion of lovers is for them.
And that layer of keyboard underneath too.
The passion of lovers is for them, says she. The passion of lovers is for them. The passion of lovers is for them, says she. The passion of lovers is for them.
I like the way that Peter's voice is like kind of thinning in a way. It's like higher. Okay, so second song on the album. Now that's a promising one. that's, that's a really promising start at this particular point. I love the strumming in there. Ash's guitar, I love that flamenco style opening. Ba-da, ba-da, ba-da. Like that is just so cool to hear in like a track and a genre like this and from Bauhaus and how they're incorporating that. And they still keep that deep-seated moodiness. Like that is not lost. But that strumming just adds a certain aspect that is really nice. I love the singing here. The ending, especially, as he's going in that very euphoric way, because that ending, that outro, pretty much lasted maybe a minute or so, from what I could tell. I was kind of glancing at it, and like even though it's repetitive, I think that repetitive, repeating of the lines kind of lends itself to an even more euphoric build up and climax there. And I love how his voice not thins out, because that's not like that's like a negative connotation, but it's like he kind of stretches his voice more and more and more, and a little bit higher every time he repeats the lines. And that, along with the music continually building up, the layer of keyboard coming up underneath the music as well, it all just makes it this really emotional like send off there. I think that this is a really awesome song. And let me pull it back here really quick. The verse, that drum pattern from Kevin. Let me pull up. I'm pretty sure it's Kevin Haskins. Perfect. Kevin Haskins. I love that drum pattern and how unusual it is, because that's not normal, right? The way, the way that he uses the kick kind of cheroots the drum pattern, and then he uses the snare on top of that. Like it's a little bit of an unusual pattern, but I like how, yes, Bauhaus is an unusual band in how they approach things, but they still make it that much more acceptable. They fit it into their version of conventional, and before you know it, like you're grooving out just as anything else. because he very well could have played in a more standard way, but why not twist it a little bit? Why not be a little more creative? And I love the way that Haskins approached that in this track. Love all the layers of guitar as well. So who's handling the keyboards? That's going to be Haskins actually handling the keyboards. Okay, I figured it would have been one of the others, but no, it's Haskins handling drums and keyboards, and I like that little layer that he adds in the end here.
The passion of love is for death.
That chorus is uplifting too. That's a good one. That's a really good one. She had nut-painted arms that were hers to keep, and in her fear she sought cracked pleasures. The passion of lovers is for death, she said, licked her lips and turned to feather. And as I watched from underneath, I came aware of all that she keeps. The little foxes so safe and sound, they were not dead, they'd gone to ground. The passion of lovers is for death, like death is their passion. She breaks her heart just a little too much, and her jokes attract the lucky bad type. When she dips and wails and slips her banshee smile, she gets the better of the bigger to the letter. I think that's a Susie and the Banshees reference. The passion of lovers is for death, she said. If I'm not looking it up, but I'm just taking a leap here. If this is referencing Susie, perhaps from Susie and the Banshees, do you think that the passion of lovers is for death is a line from one of their songs? Let's look at the Wikipedia article. I could be wrong. Let's see. It's the 6th single release from the band in totality. It peaked at number 56 on the UK singles chart. The B-sides of the single. We don't care about the B-side. I want to know about this side. Nothing, huh? Huh. Okay. Never mind. I mean, it could be about Susie and the Banshees, but I'm just basing that off of the Banshee line, which it very well could not be. But if it's not, it could just be, I think, about his attraction to someone that is just very, can I just say, maybe very gothy, and that's okay. That's cool. And there's a darkness to her, but there's also something utterly seductive about her. And she just spits out a fire line, as the kids would say, with the passion for of lovers is for death. And it just makes him think about it. Just sticks with him. Let's move on to the next track here, which is Of Lilies and Remains. Well, that's a tense sound.
In the marbled reception hall, I received a 3-band gold ring from Mark, a token of esteem. Running through ghost closet locker rooms to hide from Peter, was fallen to the old cold stone floor, wheezing and emitting a seemingly endless flow of ectoplasmic white goo from ears and mouth. A wind rushes through the hall, whistles as it breezes through the narrow slits in the green locker doors. I hide in one of these, number 13.
Lucky.
Barely concealed but hopeful. Blackout. Blackout.
I like how empty this track is. That's a cool sound to
I will climb this high wall in remembrance of Clancy, to regain or re-earn my life. As I died just a flicker of an eyelid ago, the wall has many holes and many foot pieces to fasten to. The wall is dangerous, and this is my penance.
It's like an almost theremin sound.
My penance and my task. I did it once and they wondered, yet I need painstakingly, across rigidly, down easily,
It's almost like
and foolishly.
a Bowie-esque sound.
I endeavored again to climb the wall in vain and capture back my chain of lilies and remains.
It's very hard.
Lilies and remains. Lilies and remains.
Okay. You added some extra on the top. This works incredibly well after the previous track because the previous track was very full. It had a dark but a lush and kind of a uplifting sound, of course, like I mentioned, like in the chorus and stuff. And like this one kind of turns things over. This one kind of takes that cup and empties it out. I'm not going to do it, but like it takes the cup and pours it everything out. And it kind of starts from something more empty with how stark natured the music is. You know, instead of the guitar filling in a lot of space or the keyboards filling in a lot of space, it's just empty. It's just hollow. And I love the way that Peter, I mean, sings sure in some respects, but he really just speaks through this one. And that mixed with the lack of, music that's happening underneath in a full way, not the drums, which once again Haskins is pulling off a cool drum pattern, specifically with his work on the hi-hat. It's simple, but it's a nice approach into the music. And then the tense kind of tight wire tension of the guitar, that muted guitar, and just there's something very tense and anxiety inducing about that, but it's not used in like a horror way, but there is kind of a psychological effect, perhaps even with the lyrics here. And then the keyboards have this, it's not literally a theremin, but it kind of has that same quiver. It has that same warble, that just kind of strews its way through this track. And the bass is still bum 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 bum. It's still grooving out. So there's this interesting mix of, half the instruments kind of providing a kind of strange ambience, and the other half grooving out. And the drums or bass, they're handling that rhythm. Bum 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 bum, and has and then the guitar and the keyboards kind of handling that kind of tense atmosphere there. And then in the middle of all that, Peter just speaking. but all that stark contrast into what was happening before works really well in kind of throwing us off balance and going through the album, but in a pleasant way. Like we're pleasantly thrown off balance as we kind of change a little bit thematically here. In the marbled reception hall, I received a 3-band gold ring from Mark, a token of esteem. Running through ghost closet locker rooms to hide from Peter, who has fallen to the old cold stone floor, wheezing and emitting a seemingly endless flow of ectoplasmic white goo from ears and mouth. They're called Ghostbusters. A wind rushes through the hall, whistles as it breezes through the narrow slits in the green locker doors. I hide in one of these, number 13, barely concealed but hopeful. Blackout, and there's a little effect when he says blackout. He's being chased by something, perhaps? I will climb this high wall in remembrance of Clancy to regain or re-earn my life. As I died just flicker of an eyelid ago, the wall has many holes and many foot pieces to fasten to. The wall is dangerous, and this is my penance. My penance and my task. I did it once, and they wondered, yet I needed to go one more round. Up breathtakingly, across rigidly, down easily and foolishly, I endeavored again to climb the wall in vain and capture back my chain of lilies and remains. He's being chased by something. He hides in a locker. I think he dies. He just said, as I died, just a flicker of an eyelid ago. He thought he could do whatever it is again because he did it once, but this time it didn't work out for him. And he was trying to get his chain of lilies and remains. I'm going to click on some of the annotations. Live versions. Not worried about that. According to David J's book, look, I should just scroll down. One day I turned up at the studio, grabbed the first piece of paper I could find, and wrote down a transcript of a haunting dream I had the previous night. When I turned the paper over, I saw that Peter had written something on the other side. When I asked him what it was, he told me that it was a dream that he had. We improvised some music and then took turns to record our individual readings. Oh, okay. I like how they both had written basically down their dreams. I gotcha. And it's David. I don't even know. I didn't see that. It's David on the first half and Peter on the second. Oh, maybe that also adds to the contrast because it's a completely different person involved vocally there. Okay, well that makes total sense. Dancing is the next track. That's a fat bass line. Oh, it's sax. Oh, I thought it was... very dancey. Dancing in the roof. Oh yeah, there's some combo on that one. Very Brian Ferry kind of vibrato. I mean, it's called Dancing, and this is like, you know, the most danceable track on the album so far. That bass line is incredibly thick and incredibly fat, and I love how it plays in that kind of dance music of the time. It has that very specific bass line. Did I even change the notes when I did that? But like, it moves in almost like that kind of dance disco-esque way, but he changes some of the notes just enough so that it still leans more towards almost like a gothy kind of track, but it still has that really nice dancey replayability as well. Really fantastic. Love how, once again, the contrast from the previous track, something more psychological and kind of dark and you know, straightforward in narrative. This one comes right out the gate, exciting, like a party, and if there's ever a goth night, you can be sure that this track is probably one of the openers to the party and for the celebration, the festival there. But I love that bass line. Once again, Haskins on the drums. I like how in this track he starts writing the 16th notes on the hi-hat. I can't do it as fast, but he does faster than that. But in dance music, that's very common. So I like how like they kind of put in those dance music stereotypes from the bass and drum side of things, keeping it rhythmically there, and then everything else is used to kind of, keep it dark, as Genesis would say. Peter's delivery, I love it here. I think this is, besides Passion of Lovers, I think that so far this is his best delivery in how he's describing different dancing in different places, and whether in the Louvre or up and down the pews of the church, there's just everyone's dancing, and there's a fun kind of madness to the way that he sings and he enunciates throughout this track, and almost like dancing in a madness and in craziness, but still just letting loose, not thinking, not putting so much effort into it, just moving your body in whichever way you feel most passionate. When I'm here listening to music, like not here, but like out around the house, just in the day to day, and I start dancing, my wife says that I have no rhythm. And, for someone that plays music all the time, I should have a little bit more rhythm. I think I do have rhythm, but I'm sure to her, maybe it just looks like uncoordinated movement. So, just dancing without even thinking about it too much. I think that this track would do very well on the radio. And I love this saxophone here, which at first I thought it was keyboards, but no, it's sax from Ash being performed here. And I like how it's not used like to solo or anything like that. It's just used as an extra tonal atmosphere and just an extra melody. I love how it plays in that kind of quick vibrato way as well, for most of it, the same way that Murphy does vocally in many moments. He kind of pulls a Brian Ferry, and he pulls that Roxy music, I'm doing it right, but like that kind of vibrato, that warble, that I always thought is so satisfying to listen to. And he does make it satisfying. He exaggerates it a little bit, like on the end, but it works very well to great effect, the way that he lines up with the saxophone there. Let's talk about all the different places you can dance. Dancing on hot tiles, dancing on tenterhooks, dancing down church aisles, dancing on holy books, dancing on crocodiles. Wouldn't recommend that. The dancing is going to end up like Hook. Dancing on hollowed ground. Dancing Nijinsky style. Dancing with the lost and found. Dancing on rock and roll graves. Dancing on burning coals. Dancing on Jesus Saves. Dancing with old scratched soul. Dancing on flick knives. Dancing a stiletto groove. Dancing on 9 Lives Away. Dancing in the Louvre. Dancing in catacombs, dancing in tuxedo drag, dancing in dark rooms, dancing on all your flags, dancing in the Vatican, on the papal gown, on the taxman, on the crown. We're dancing to the dark side of this tune. You can dance everywhere, and there's many types of dancing. I think in on one respect, I think that's really all it's about. What are tenterhooks? Sharp hooked nails used for fastening cloth on a wooden frame called a tenter. The phrase on tenterhooks means in a state of uneasiness. Okay. What about Nijinsky style? Václav Nijinsky was a Polish ballet dancer and choreographer who earned fame and acclaim as one of the greatest male dancers of the 20th century. Think we could find some video of him? I'd like to see a little dance from Mr. Nijinsky. Le Fon. Is this video or is this just there's no movement there. No movement there. I'm finding like a lot of like 10-second clips. Is this video? I was just seeing if I could find something. I think this is video actually. You're gonna hear some noise pop up probably soon. This is where is this video? This is old. Is that Nijinsky? Huh. Okay, let's move on to the next track, Hollow Hills. That's not ominous. It's actually really nice being up early and listening to music. Like, I feel great. sadness.
Ancient earthwork fort on Barrow discreetly hide their secret abodes. The most fearful hide deep inside and venture not there on Yuletide.
It's like a creepy invocation and a chant.
For in vision of the hollow hills, that music hold and Oberon fill is surely recommended not. For fear of death, in fear of rot, hollow hills, hollow hills.
Have his lighter voice there. Acts as a nice counterpoint.
Hollow hills, hollow hills.
And then, it's like a water drip in a cave. That
Baleful sound and wild voices ignored.
there's the voices.
Ill luck, disaster, the one reward. Violating sanctity of Superman's hill, so sad. Love lies there still. So sad. So sad. Hollow hills. Hollow and goblins too, and speckled sills lament, repent, O mortal you. O mortal you. So sad. Although so sad, so sad, so
It's kind of a little hopeful melody here at the end. It's kind of gently hypnotic, actually. So Hollow Hills ends the first side of the album. And going through the track list, this is kind of like Passion of Lovers into Lilies and Remains in that it acts as a really nice counterbalance and weight to the previous track. Once again, dancing was a fun, a danceable, filled up song. Hollow Hills is, as the name implies, extremely hollow and something a bit distant, as if hills in the distance over the horizon. And I like, once again, their use of space and atmosphere. The singing, which is kind of a narrative moaning, a creakiness of the voice, in the hollow hills. There's something in the verse that acts as almost this invocation as well, for the way that they kind of chant in harmony with one another, the lines out. And then there's almost this cool little, I think it's the keyboards that is creating this kind of dripping, this bum, 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 this little light melodic drip that sounds like as if you were in a cave and the water's dripping from the stalagmites at the top of the cave. And it has that kind of echoing but pleasant drip of a sound. And I like how later you could argue that that sound kind of transforms into that ending melody, which comes in like gentle and very tranquil and kind of eases some of the harshness in the space of the hollowness of the track in previous parts. So just musically, like, that's a cool little sound that's first used as an effect and then kind of grows into something a little bit more as it ripples out there at the end. And this is a very, very slow, methodical track. Rhythmically, it's just a little bit of a drum to boom. The bass really murkily moves things along. This is definitely the most atmospheric and hollow song so far on the album. But I think that it once again does a great job of establishing in a specific scene and then kind of closing out this side of the album with that. And in going through the track list, I just really like the way that everything's been balanced from, something more atmospheric and a little more stark and black and white to other songs which are a little bit more colorful in how they come together. Ancient earthwork, fort and barrow, discreetly hide their secret abodes. The most fearful hide deep inside, and venture not there upon Yuletide. For invasion of their hollow hills, that music hold in Oberon fill. Oberon, before I click it, it's a god of something, if I remember correctly. King of the Fairies. I've had to look it up before. That's why I remember something. I was close. King of the Fairies. Okay. Surely recommended, not for fear of death, in fear of rot. Hollow hills. Baleful sound and wild voices ignored. Ill luck, disaster, the one reward. Violated sanctity of Superman's hills, so sad, love lies there still. And witches too, and goblins too, the speckled sylph, lament, repent, O mortal you. Like, you should have never gone into these hills, basically. There's gods and stuff in there. In Celtic mythology, fleeing the modern Irish, the fairies have sought refuge in the barrows or hollow hills. So I'm kind of close. Okay, so that's where the mythical creatures have fled to. These hollow hills. There's a joke about like the hills have eyes or a wrong turn or something, but I can't quite connect the dots. Let's go ahead and move on into the next track, the second side of the album. Starting off, Kick in the Eye, which kind of painful. There was my brother, who's 8 years older than myself. There was a day, maybe like a year or two ago, that I was visiting my mom, and he was at the house too, and we were just messing around. We were like play fighting, as brothers do, even as they get older. And this is our joke. I'm the nerdy, smart guy. He's like the athletic, strong guy. We were play fighting. I always lose. And he like jabbed at me and it hit me right in my eye. It really, really hurt. Like, it actually really hurt. I thought I had a black eye. Later when we came home, my wife jokingly put on some like makeup around my eye to make it look like a black eye and sent him the picture. At first he was like really scared, like, oh my God, I really hurt you. Brothers, what are you gonna do? That guy starts off with the kick. And we're dancing. It sounds like Bowie. The music sounds like it sounds like Bowie's. evolving the toms to image that hi-hat pattern. You cannot tell me this doesn't sound like slight change on the guitar. I like these. This feels like it's speeding up a little bit at the end. We ended the first side in a hollow place, and we've come back dancing, and I just mean straight Bowie. You cannot tell me that there is no Bowie influence on this track. You can't tell me that they weren't aiming for that sound, because if you blindfolded me and told me that this was David Bowie, I would believe you. I don't blindfolded has nothing to do with knowing or not because I'm listening, but like this is so very much in his style, but they pull it off so brilliantly. Like I love and everything even musically sounds like it could come from Bowie, from like his, I would say like his White Duke period a little bit. The vocals, yes, definitely. Even the guitar in the back, the dun, behind the bass, the dun 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 dun. Like even the way that the music is dancing beneath the singing is very, very much like reminiscent in style from the Spiders, you could say. And once again, I like Haskins' drumming a lot and just how he approaches things. One, with his work on the hi-hat, which he's very skilled and adept at. His work specifically on that side of things. But then the way he also bring in the toms at one point, like just as a nice fill. Like I just thought it's those small things, but it just makes a cool little difference in the track here. Eventually, you have some ambiances that sneak in. The guitar changes its pattern as well, and this also feels like it could be a single from the album. Like that's see, like right there, the guitar changes its playing, and that kind of lends itself still playing towards the sound that they've been going for in this track, but now it kind of gives it a little bit of a shrieky kind of sound, which leans or at least gazes more towards that goth sound. So I think it's cool, like how they're pushing forward in a certain way and trying a different style, but they're also still very much rooted in, of course, what they do, who they are, and how they want to be. And he spoke of pastures green, I was never told why. Each journey lasts an age, and my throat feels dry. It must be the lesson hidden deep inside. It must be the lesson, so roll the tide. So I began the crossing, my throat burned dry, searching for Satori, the kick in the eye. I am the end of reproduction, given no direction. Every care is taken in my rejection. Kick in the eye. Every care is taken with my rejection and my abduction to my addiction. Every care is taken with my protection, with my abduction from my addiction. Let's click this. Satori is a Japanese Buddhist term for awakening. Okay, so he's searching for his enlightenment. Kick in the eye. What does that mean? If we're reading this with Zen Buddhism as the context, it would make more sense if the lyrics said the kick in the eye. Eye is in mind or self. Okay, since shocks to the rational self-centered mind are common in the descriptions of the path towards Satori. Okay, I can see that. Almost also like the kick inside from Kate Bush or debut. Okay. My throat burned dry. Like he's crossing this desert, going through suffering, of which life is suffering in Buddhist context. My throat burned dry, searching for this enlightenment. I am the end of reproduction. He's the last. Doesn't know where he's going. He's taken every care in my rejection. Okay, well, with that in mind, I could definitely see the message, if we're right. And he spoke of pastures green. Is this the Buddha speaking of basically like paradise in a sense? Each journey lasts an age. And that must be the lesson. Okay, I think we could kind of go with that. It was released in 1981 as one of 2 singles, along with the album. Not too much info on this one. Okay, I could definitely see that. That makes sense. Sometimes the annotations on the side, they help a little bit. In Fear of Fear is the next track here. They always have such a great rhythm section. It's that sax again. Kind of sounds like a Stranglers track or something. That's kind of quirky. Always there to start things out. And I said to you, the spirit's wrong when you fear your life and your fear is wrong. Set free your past from setting the skin, and you won't fear the fear of sin. They're just having fun here. Fear of Fear, it's like they found a toy box in the studio and it had all these kids' toys and different like sounds and stuff. And it's like they said, let's have some fun. Not literally that they find a toy box, but it's like they just pulled out all these quirky and wacky sounds, like from the keys and I don't know, some of the silly, not quite cartoon, but silly sounds that are amongst a once again strong rhythmically track. I mean, bass and drums just always a pleasure to listen to. I feel like the bass, there's always a really creative bass line that is behind the music. And then the saxophone makes a return here, and it's once again playing in that quick quiver kind of way. And that mixed with the keys and what's going on, it makes this like to me, kind of a silly song, at least tonally. Like I said, still strong rhythm behind it. Singing's fine, but so many sounds happening. And even like his... I feel like the band isn't... I hope this doesn't come across rude, because I don't mean it that way. But I feel like this track, the band just said, let's just have some fun. Don't overthink it. Let's just have some fun. I feel like that's what this is. The band just letting loose, having fun, kind of like dancing. Although dancing was more, I would say, musically streamlined and kind of together. This just feels like let's just kind of go. You fear the lesson and fear to walk and fear to pass on. Your fear to talk. I like that. And fear to pass on your fear to talk. Don't want anyone to inherit your fear of talking. The teacher was feared, your parents too. Then you became the fear of you. You became the fear of you, fearing yourself. Look to yourself, climb over the wall, and see behind that you're not so small. I like that. Climb over your own wall that you put up. Then you won't blame fear when competing's too much, as you fall on your back as you fail to touch. You won't blame your failures on fear. And I say to you, when your fear is strong, when you fear your life, when your fear is wrong, set free your past, so shredding the skin, then you won't fear the fear of sin. Fear. I like that. I mean, it's kind of taking, the quote, nothing to fear but fear itself, and kind of playing around with it in a way, but kind of removing self-doubt, self-fear, fear of failure from oneself, so that you can be set free, as he says, and just kind of do things and try things. And even if you do fail, it's not because of your fear of failing. It's because of external reasons or other reasons there. The music is silly, but I like the lyrics. Let's move on to the next track, Muscle in Plastic. I told you, they always start off strong. going on.
I got nothing to lose. Lost it. Oh, lost it. Lost
They're kind of playing again. They're playing like in a similar way like they did with the previous track with Fear, but they're just speeding it up a little bit. Peter is previously the band reached into the toy box and brought out all these different sounds. Now Peter's reaching into the toy box and bringing out all these different vocalizations. And as the track goes on, I feel like the wheels begin to come off. It becomes looser and more like unrestrained and untethered. It just starts to kind of go off the rails the further on and the longer on this track goes. And especially Peter, he just begins to unravel there vocally. But the rhythm section is once again as strong as always. I love how it starts off so fast. I like once again how strong that bass line. The bass line it's very reminiscent of ba bum ba bum ba bum ba bum. It's hitting a similar note pattern, but it's not like the same, obviously. But it's just kind of in that same pattern with Crazy Train. But this is a track that I think, honestly, it's fine. I don't know. I like the band when they're like, I guess for lack of a better word, more. I don't want to say more focused. That's not the right word. This track and the previous one haven't been my favorites. I feel like I don't know. I don't like all the, I guess, kind of random sounds that kind of come in. I know they're not random, but I don't enjoy the sounds. So I don't know. This one's a little better. There's almost a Zappa quality to some of the playing here that they perform. There's like these musical comedic moments, if you could say so. I would argue that there's a Zappa component to this, or at least an influence in some way. Gonna be like a dog, lay flat on my back, pull my feet off the ground, let my head hit the sack. I'm a muscle in plastic. Nijinsky's bad move. He liked Nijinsky. Just a white showpiece. I've got nothing to lose. I preach for the praise. Oh, I can't dance, so I gaze. Like a bad offset, I'm just counting my days. Oh, I can't laugh, so I gaze. And I preach for the praise. He can't dance near here. He can't dance near here. Sonar blips on my arms. My head's increased. Just a hotel inmate. I'm the lover deceased. I'm the latent impression of a dancer's leg. I like faking persuasion and laying in my bed. He's a muscle in plastic. Like a muscle is active. In plastic, perhaps there's a restraint to it. He says he could dance, or, I can dance, so I gaze. Or so maybe he's had the ability to dance, but now he can't. Gonna be like a dog, lay flat on my back, pull my feet off the ground, let my head hit the sack. He's just relaxing. But perhaps it's not, he doesn't want to be. I don't know. Let's move on to the next song here, The Man with X-Ray Eyes. It's a nice moodiness.
She said, no man will watch open house is really here, and we have gone so desperate. Your power knows no bounds, and heavier with time are our shoes that no man would want to wear. New tread wipes the wet clothes so dry. It stings.
I think it slows down things too. It keeps that heaviness.
Into the borrowed course, under the dreadful birds, under the singing soil, and all those guilty clouds.
I like how they just use
I have seen too much.
vocalizations that fit with the music.
My eyes too much. Wipe away my eyes too much. Wipe away my eyes too much. Wipe away my eyes. 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 Wipe away my
That little bit of like the almost music box esque ending kind of hinted at something, and then it was quickly kind of put away. Very curious about that one. Okay, really like the bass line on this one. I like the effects, and once again, how those effects kind of fit in with the music itself. It's like the music's performed first and then the effects on top of that, rather than having those different sounds being so overt in the music. It adds to the ambience and the effect of the music that they're playing here. Really enjoyed the bass line. I really like his singing too, especially the way that he's shouting kind of in desperation, wipe away my eyes. Like the way he sings at the end, sings like he's crying out in almost a painful, suffering and tortured kind of way. And I think that he emotes incredibly well. I should say that throughout the rest of the album as well. The way that he emotes Peter in his singing is really well. And I like the drumming as well, and how there's portions where the drumming is giving space, or given space rather, because it's already strong. Production on the drums especially is already very strong. So when it gives it those moments of space where there's nothing else really happening, or very sparse arrangement happening around it, it just makes it like this very powerful statement inside an already powerful track. And I really like the way that it, let me pull it back here so I can find one of those slow ones. Not quite, but close enough. And I like how the band throughout has also not been afraid, I should specify with Peter Murphy, not afraid to use vocalizations that just fit with the music and just sound good with the music, regardless of what's being said, what's being vocalized, like that. The up, 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 up. Like it just works. It just fits. So I like how there's unconventional look at how to perform, how to include certain things in the music, and not play towards, for lack of a better word, the masses or things that have been done before, but to just tread your own path and do what you want to do. Shoes that no man would want to wear, slice of life that night's last cold stare. Red fist curled round the house, wash away, boy, Shelley's shoes, wash. Chocolate power is so crisp, atomic open house is really here. And we have gone so desperate, your power knows no bounds. And heavier with time are our shoes that no man would want to wear. New tread wipes a wet road so dry, it stings. Into the borrowed course, under the dreadful birds, under the singing soil and all those guilty clouds. I have seen too much, wipe my eyes too much, wipe away my eyes. I mean, shoes that no man would want to wear, like I wouldn't want to walk in your shoes. Perhaps this X-ray power is basically a curse. As he says, he's seen too much. So he's seen so much that other people wouldn't want to walk in his shoes. Kind of like when you ask your friend, like, hey, what superpower would you want? Choose flight, choose invisibility, or, choose X-ray vision. And so it's like he has X-ray vision, but it's like in a cursed way. It's like in a monkey's paw, curling kind of way. And he's saying you wouldn't want this power. Your power knows no bounds, and heavier with time are our shoes. Like his shoes that he's walking in are growing heavier and heavier with time, the more he's seeing into other people. I get it. I like that. I think that's kind of a cool twist on that, having a cool power, but in a cursed kind of way. Let's move into the final track here on the album, appropriately the title track, Mask. Sounds apocalyptic. It's like the mask came off. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the full album review and reaction, Bauhaus with Mask. And we end in possibly their most experimental track here. And I like how this closes out the album. It almost feels like a storied ending to the album. You know, it's entitled Mask. The album title is Mask. And halfway through, it feels like it takes the mask off and it reveals something a little brighter. It feels like the first half of this is very dark and abstract and kind of creepy. It's very tense. And then there's that moment where the sun just breaks through the cloud, and all of a sudden that guitar line provides a nice little melody, very light. It's not like some glorious, overblown, dramatic, shining down Jacob's ladder kind of light that breaks through. It's just a little peak. Just a little peak, and the melody just kind of lifts just a little bit, And so I like how it feels like there's a glimmer of hope. There's a little ray of sunshine that comes through, and sometimes that's all you need, And so I really like how that contrasts with the first half, which, like I said, is very anxious. Here. And I mean, even as he says there, the atmosphere, the air in here is suffocating. There's a claustrophobia to this. But then contrast this to the end. You still hear that drone in the back. You still hear that kind of dark cloud back there. But we're getting there. We're moving towards the light and kind of gazing in its direction and seeing something. And I thought that transition was a harsh transition, but it worked really well, I would say, for the song. I like that moodiness here. See if I can find. I want the moment of change. Right there. And even the bass kind of warms things up a little bit from that particular moment. Like, it just works really well as this perfect, like I said, mask off moment that ends the track in a very strong, I would say, narrative kind of way. Oops, wrong button. I'm lost. The man of shadows thinks in clay, dreamed, trapped thoughts of suffocation days. He's seen in iron environments with plastic sweat out of chiseled slits for eyes. From the growth underneath the closed mouth, you'll catch if you listen. Rack-trapped cubist vowels from a dummy head expression. I like this. I like the first verse. Like, if you think in closed terms, you're closed off. That's how at least I read that, basically. If you think in limited ways, you limit yourself. The transformation is invested with the mysterious and the shameful, while the thing I am becomes something else, part character, part sensation. And of course, the music changes. The mask is taken off. The shadow is cast. So obviously, there's a transformation. There's a change. The mask coming off, right? While the thing I am becomes something else. What he is perhaps what he was now. Part character and part what he's feeling. And perhaps what he's feeling is truly who he is. That's what I'm kind of thinking off this one. Let's look at some of the information on the album. It's the first album on Beggar's Banquet. Features experimentation from the band, incorporating keyboards and acoustic guitar. After the success of the band's first album, they left their record label 4AD due to the label's resources being unable to keep up with them. I like that. They released 2 singles from the new record, which we heard, Kick in the Eye hitting number 29, and Passion of Lovers 56. Let's see. Burnt Murphy said, "One of our loves is to make each single totally different from the last, not to be tied down to a style or a sound." The album cover is a drawing by guitarist Ash. The original artwork for the album was a gatefold sleeve with blue text on the inside and a stark black and white image of the band. On later editions, the inside was replaced with white text and a montage from the promotional video for the song Mask. And it goes on from there as well. My favorite tracks, personally, Passion of Lovers and Dancing. Those are my 2 favorite tracks on the album. Were those the singles? Did we say? Uh, not quite, not quite. Dancing wasn't a single, but I think that it very easily could have been. I think the first half of this album is stronger than the second. Muscle and Plastic and Fear of Fear kind of don't really hit too much for me, but I thought that every other track was great, especially those two that I mentioned, Passion and Dancing. I think that when they kind of hit that style, it works incredibly well for them. Now, I also have their next album on my wish list to get to. What is that? The Sky's Gone Out? Is that what it was called? I know it's something. Yeah, The Sky's Gone Out. And I think I almost listened to that album, like skipping this one, just because I like the album cover on The Sky's Gone Out more. But I figured let's keep in sequential order. You know, we start with our debut. Let's just keep it all in line. Anyways, thank you guys so much for being here and for watching alongside with me, for waking up a little bit early because the sun's out now. I mean, not like out, but it's bright enough outside. Thank you so much for sticking around. I appreciate you. If you don't mind pressing that like button, it helps a great deal. You can share the video. The Buy Me a Coffee is there in case you have a song request and you'd like to skip the line, so to speak. You can do so there. Otherwise, hope you enjoy the rest of your day, morning, afternoon, or evening, and I will see you all next time. Bye.